Greetings. In this video, we're going to look at Spanish melody on page 33 of the Christopher Parkening Classical Guitar Method, Volume 1. This piece is an excellent example of a good piece to deconstruct. Here's what I mean by that. There are actually two different lines of music in this piece. There's a melody in the bottom, and there is a texture in the top, just E repeated over and over and over again. So what we can do is we can practice playing that E by itself, nice and even. I would put your hand a little bit lower so that when you pick that E, you don't have any chance of bumping that B string, and then our thumb is in an excellent position to play the melody. Once it's really easy for you to do the texture of the E's, try getting comfortable with the melody in the bottom. Some advice for that. If it is difficult for you to read through the entire melody in the bottom, then I would start by just doing one measure at a time and just doing little groupings of 3 notes. Once that first grouping is easy, move on to the second one. And get comfortable with each one in the piece to the point where you can just see it and read it on your first try. Once you're there, practice doing 2 measures at a time. So we're going to double the length of what we're doing. Once it's easy for you to do the first 2 measures, try this next 2. But when I say next 2, I mean to overlap the second measure. So now I'm going to do the second and the third. If you were to just do 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, then your brain's going to have a little bit of a skip of, well, how do I go from 2 to 3? So practice 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Once you can do that with the entire piece, then it'll probably be easy for you to read the entire piece. If it's not, then I would just start doing larger chunks, 3 measures at a time, and then 4 measures. But at some point, it's going to click and it'll be easy. Here's what the piece sounds like. 1, 2, ready, go. For intermediate guitarists, I have 2 main points of advice. The first is that we want the lower voice to sound louder. Now normally this will naturally happen because our thumb is a stronger digit that is playing those notes. But I would encourage you just to ensure that that index finger is a nice light. You could even just move your forearm a little bit to get those notes rather than thinking about curling your pointer finger. And your hand can just kind of get a nice rocking motion. My other point of advice for this piece is that I would encourage you to experiment with attenuating your rhythm a little bit. Not a lot. With classical guitar, we really want to have finesse and not ham it up. It sounds corny if we speed up and slow down too much. But this is an excellent situation in which to put this into practice. And this is the reason why. If something is simple rhythmically, then as a listener, I can follow along and appreciate the changes to the rhythm when they are applied to a simple situation. But if the rhythms are highly complex and the guitarist is altering the rhythms, then I don't know what I'm hearing and I can't understand what's actually happening rhythmically, and you begin to feel lost or directionless. And music should have a nice clear sense of pulse unless deliberately written to undermine that. So here's how I like to play it. So kind of hanging on to that first note and then speeding up through, and then maybe a little bit of a lull. It really helps to just play with your dynamics as well, louder and softer, and try to flow with the melody. There's a million ways you could play it, but I would encourage you just to experiment with it and see what sounds nice to you. Have fun with this one. It's a really neat piece of music. I would do your best to master the technique of it, and once it's easy to play, then it's going to be easy to experiment with it. But if it's very difficult for you to play, you're probably going to make a lot of mistakes as you're trying to attenuate your rhythm and your dynamics. So master the technique first and then dress it up. It'll be very enjoyable to play. You can take this one very fast and it sounds very fun. Thank you for watching, and I hope this is helpful.